stand it.
I'm gonna come. Oh.
We all know about skill-based matchmaking, but have you guys ever seen the game dynamically change mid-match just to screw you over? I could not believe it when it happened, but it was streamed live, so you guys know I'm not messing around here. And as you can see, we're just running through this team right from the very start. The connection was awesome, hit detection was on point, and the other team pretty much all backed out. Well, Activision, with their infinite wisdom, decided to throw in the Middle Eastern Avengers into our lobby, and instantly, hit detection went out the window. You guys are watching some examples of what happened after these guys joined. You can barely hit them, let alone kill them with the sheer amount of server desync that's going on. It's almost like they dynamically gave these guys host or something, and the craziest part is when you watch the play of the game at the end, you can clearly see the dude's using a one-shot weapon, that they're not having any connection issues whatsoever, but us, we can't hit a freaking thing because as soon as they joined, the entire server basically fell apart. What in the world actually just happened?
This is the Recon combat specialty that gives you wall hacks as well as the high alert perk for free, and there are 0 counters to this combat specialty.
The do, baby.
One traitor left. Eliminate them.
Yeah, Recon. Recon, very fair, boys. Very fair.
One victory.
Let's use Recon. Recon doesn't need nerfed. It doesn't need balanced. It doesn't need a challenge. You just need to adapt. Adapt and overcome. Adapt. Adapt. Wait. I'll let you know they're here. They are here. Yeah, this is good. Recon's fair and balanced, guys. We love Recon.
What can't the blue perks do, bro?
Come on now, dawg. Come on, man.
Before the game even released in the United States, we played a level 5 wall hacking and search with diamond SMGs.
Okay. This might be the new anti-cheat, actually. You might have just gotten exposed. Wait, my head is detached from my body. This is my new body.
Wait, this one's broken as fuck, Jake.
New movement tutorial just dropped, everybody.
During the lifecycle of Modern Warfare 3, there was a change that was made that deliberately reduced the volume and audio of your own footsteps, your own effects like reloading, and all of your teammates around you. And this was a deliberate change. The reason for it is because when your character emits too much audio in your headphones, it clogs up the audio priority system. That's now gone. So you will hear your own parachute, your own stomping, your teammates' parachutes mantling and stomping at pretty much maximum volume. So this fix that existed in Modern Warfare 3 has been completely rolled back. And this gets exponentially worse when you combine it with the new spatial audio and head-related transfer function. This audio should give you better positional audio by definition, and it absolutely should be operating in a way that's greatly meant to improve the audio systems within Warzone. But as a result of them not transferring over this fix in the Modern Warfare 3 era, you're now hearing your own audio so loudly in the spatial audio space and reverb from that audio so loudly that you basically can't hear a thing that's going on from any other footstep, any other reload, or anything else in the game. Let alone when you start layering on things like kill streaks in the distance, and all of these other things that happen in the game, like gunfire. Here's another change in Modern Warfare 3 that hasn't been ported across to Black Ops 6. Now, during the Modern Warfare 3 era of the game, a really fundamental improvement was made to the audio priority of kill streaks, because it was found in my testing and in some of my experiments that you would hear kill streaks called in as far away as 400 or 500 meters, even though they absolutely had zero chance of affecting you. Well, guess what didn't get ported across? That exact change. You can now hear a cluster strike that's been called in from 500 meters away, the other side of the map, and it will be in your audio priority mix and will be prioritized over footsteps. This fix was made in Modern Warfare 3 that not only reduced the sound of kill streaks and took them out of the audio priority queue for things like footsteps. It's gone. It's not in the Black Ops 6 code. Based on my testing, you will hear airstrikes, mortar strikes, and other kill streaks from several miles away for absolutely no particular reason. I've had instances of no registration with bullets at all. I've had instances where I've died very, very far behind cover, and I've even had instances where I die seemingly instantaneously. The other big issue that these low tick rate servers produce is something called super bullets, which actually explains a lot of these clips that I've shown you about dying instantaneously. Now, when a company ultimately cheaps out on their server infrastructure or cheaps out on their general netcode for their game, what you get is a bit of a mess. And if it's ever felt like a high rate of fire weapon like the XM4 or a really fast firing SMG is giving you better kills and better hit registration, that's not false. That's not you being inaccurate. That is actually what occurs server-side as a result of a phenomenon called super bullets.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
This chart in the background illustrates what super bullets looks like, which is the damage of multiple hits sent in one update. Now, in Call of Duty Warzone, the updates are 20 Hz instead of 10 Hz, so there are more updates between bullets in some scenarios. But Call of Duty also features substantially higher rate of fire weapons, so there are going to be some weapons in the game where this phenomenon is exactly what I'm talking about. And what this means is that when you're firing a really high rate of fire weapon, the damage of multiple hits, so multiple shots that you have sent, will arrive to the person receiving them in one update instead of multiple updates, which creates this huge discrepancy between time to kill and time to death. So in the case of COD, where some guns work at RPMs of 900 or 1000, they are sending multiple damage hits in one update, and you as a player on the other side of things will receive all of that damage in one update. And that's why it's called super bullets, because it's as though you suddenly got insta-killed by some kind of god gun. When in reality, it's just because the rate of fire of the weapon and the amount of damage it's trying to transmit over the server is physically faster than what the server is updating in real time. So your character's movement and your character's location, the damage that's being fired, the amount of damage that's being dealt, all of this stuff happens server-side. So all of these clips you're seeing of players dying behind cover or players dying instantaneously is just a byproduct of ultimately cheap networking.
If you join a game late, you auto-spawn in immediately when the map loads, usually with some random class setup in your hands. And this happens before you have the ability to select your class, and in this time, while you still haven't even selected a class setup yet, you can be killed by the enemy players. So you often spawn in with one death right off the bat. The number one biggest issue with Black Ops 6 at the moment, at least for me, is desync.
Oh, here we go again.
And what I mean by desync is this is a connection-related issue where some games, everything feels fine. It feels like you're killing in the appropriate amount of time, you're dying in the appropriate amount of time, your enemies don't seem to have complete superhuman reaction times, and everything's fine. Whereas in many other matches, it's the opposite. It feels like you're shooting marshmallows, your enemies somehow have hardcore time to kill, but you have core time to kill when you're playing core game modes, so it feels like you're dying in like 2 bullets, even though the enemy did shoot you 5 times. It can also seem like enemies just have superhuman reaction time, but then you watch the kill cam, which you can't trust kill cams 100%, but at least for a general indication, you watch the kill cam, and what you end up seeing is that player that just killed you that seemed like a superhuman, they weren't doing anything special, they didn't even look that good, and if anything, in the kill cam, you look like an absolute bot with the slowest reaction time ever, when that's not at all what things look like on your screen. This is by far my biggest issue. It's just so incredibly frustrating to one match have everything feel great, but then the next one, with the exact same ping oftentimes, it feels like you're playing a totally different game and you just don't stand a chance.
We had 10 instances of a character sprinting and tactical sprinting across a door. And whilst regular sprinting, we seemed to have fairly okay hit registration with no big issues, but once the character was moving at high velocity and tac sprinting, on 3 of the 10 occasions, we had no hit registration at all. And I'm at a distance using an XM4 with a high rate of fire weapon, and I'm not moving my crosshair across the screen, I'm firing at a straight center point directly in front of me with a natural bit of recoil deviation. And although I'm firing in a straight line at a really high rate of fire, on more than one occasion, I got 0 registration on the character tac sprinting across the door. And that is in ideal network scenarios, so there's already a bit of error of doubt. The next point of call for me then was to check out the actual character models themselves and see if hitboxes even under perfect scenarios were an issue, and the answer is yes. There are a number of locations on pretty much every character model I tested where shooting around the character model resulted in them getting a hit marker when they shouldn't. There were a couple of locations around the hips of the opponent, around the feet, around the legs, and it seemed to vary from character model to character model, but universally, even while stationary, they were receiving damage that they shouldn't have been receiving. And that means when you factor in things like character movement and people zipping around the screen at the speed of light, there are going to be multiple hundreds, thousands, if not millions of instances of players receiving damage even though somebody missed. So even in ideal networking scenarios, we have no hit registration in some situations, again, a low percentage, but still some nonetheless. Now, in terms of killing an opponent, from firing my weapon to the opponent physically dying on the red hit marker, it took 25 video frames for that to occur. But when receiving damage, it took just 19 frames from the first bullet making contact and then firing the weapon to me dying, which is a 27% disparity between time to kill and time to death.
Do me a favor, please. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Shit, I'm saying.
So when it feels like that you're shooting your opponent and it takes them ages to die, and it feels like you're dying really quickly, that is how the game is currently operating. TTK values and time to death values are 2 experiences that are something that has to work in sync, and this is something that every first-person shooter generally suffers with. But other games, Battlefield namely, have tried to compensate for this in the past, and I would like to see Call of Duty get that percentage as low as humanly possible, and think about how they're handling their lag compensation by prioritizing the shooter. And if you're playing over Wi-Fi, please do anything you can to maximize your general latency. But the problem, and this is arguably the biggest issue with Call of Duty, is that it always favors the shooter in terms of lag compensation. So there are times where if you're firing in a straight line and somebody moves across the door, or you happen to hit an opponent who is somebody who is on a good connection, they're going to receive damage around the corner. So I, as the shooter, will receive a delayed hit marker. They, as the receiver of the damage, will be well past the door or window that they crossed and still receive damage. So this entire system favors whoever's firing, and that is not great. Many other games in the past, like Battlefield, had instances where they favored the shooter in networking-based scenarios where ping got tricky, and then completely changed that system so that people with good connections were prioritized.
I'm not bad.
Hey guys, are we about to lose? Bro, just log in. Log in.
I'm
Yeah, we are.
banned.
You got banned too, right?
What?
You got banned?
Wait, when I got a nuke, they reported me.
So at Black Ops 6 launch, we didn't have access to double XP tokens from previous Call of Duty titles like Modern Warfare 3, Cold War, etc. And so if you still had double XP saved up on those games, you could go back to those games and use those tokens, but in Black Ops 6, you couldn't do it. And then Season 1 launch came along, and that changed, and everyone was kind of surprised about it, but people were finding they had 20, 30, 40 hours of double XP saved up in those tokens that they could now use in Black Ops 6. And obviously, people were thrilled about this, and it wasn't just double XP, it was also double weapon XP and double Battle Pass XP. So I was being really positive about this, the Warzone people were being really positive about this, the multiplayer people were being really positive about this, everyone was happy. Like, actually getting access to things that we've already earned, like we've already done the work to get those things. We've already bought the cans of Monster 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever. We've already redeemed this, redeemed that, and done this in game and stashed up all of those tokens. So it would make sense to get access to them, just like how COD points should transfer between game to game to game. But then, in a twist that no one really saw coming, except really everyone saw this coming, I think, Treyarch decided to just completely remove access to those tokens. So you were just suddenly blocked, like you had 24 hours of the potential for you to open up your tokens and use them, but then you were blocked from that point onwards. You couldn't do it anymore. And in the patch notes, they didn't give any proper context about this. They didn't explain the rationale behind it, nothing. They just said, fixed an issue that incorrectly allowed legacy XP tokens to be activated in the Black Ops 6 UI. Now this was the first time in all of Black Ops 6's lifecycle so far, from launch through to now, that I'm aware of at least, where Treyarch have commented on legacy XP tokens.
So that was a f***ing lie.